You're choking me! I am a free citizen!
But also the autonomous zone can choose to reject you.
I am a free citizen in the autonomous zone! You're choking me!
If he says that, get off.
A Christian preacher who entered the autonomous zone in Seattle, also called CHAZ, was choked out cold after he tried to spread the word of God to Antifa rioters. The preacher's entrance into CHAZ, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle, was immediately greeted by anger and violence. One of the protesters, or rioters, greeted him immediately, telling the man that he's going to, quote, die here.
You'll die out here, bro. You'll die out here.
Black Lives Matter!
Shortly after his entrance into CHAZ, the Christian preacher was indeed choked out cold. Antifa terrorist and Black Lives Matter activist used a chokehold to subdue the preacher and evidently choke him to the point of passing out. This type of vicious chokehold was 10 times more savage than the tactic used to detain George Floyd. These protesters, Antifa rioters, and Black Lives Matter activists have become the very thing they sought to destroy, and even worse. Will there be nationwide outrage for a Christian preacher who was choked out simply for entering the autonomous zone? That's it? Absolutely not. There will not be nationwide outrage, as you and I know. In fact, I am probably the only media source that's reporting on this and showing you this footage. CNN, MSNBC, and probably even Fox News won't report this, and they definitely won't show you the footage because it changes the narrative they want to push, that being anarchy, dysfunction in society, and the power dynamic, meaning the separation of races. They want people to hate each other based on the color of their skin, and that is a sentiment that people in the CHAZ, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, are definitely sharing. The only time we are heard is when we burn shit down. The famous last words of a falling society. He then goes on to tell us about the differences between white people, brown, and black people, a classic power dynamic tactic that this sheeple was told by the people that control him. The power dynamic is a very interesting tactic created and used by very powerful people in government and politics. If you're not familiar with it, I suggest going checking it out and researching a little bit about the power dynamic. But let's move on. This is not the only case of violence coming out of CHAZ. In fact, the Seattle police chief said yesterday that they are not able to respond to reports of rape, extortion, and other criminal and violent crimes coming out of CHAZ because of the barricades and the presence of armed guards. It is simply a lawless area. It's not a state, it's not a city. It's a bunch of criminals and outlaws, protesters and rioters. And this is not the only case of the chokehold being used. In fact, just yesterday, what you would call an illegal immigrant, somebody who tried to enter the autonomous zone without permission, was choked out and sent away after being choked out by Black Lives Matter and Antifa terrorists. The same thing we saw happen with this Christian preacher happened with an individual who did not, I guess, have permission to enter the autonomous zone, so their response was to choke him out. It is funny, it is odd, and it is downright hypocritical that they choose to choke out what was literally an illegal immigrant to their society, to their country, to their state. They decided to choke him out and deport him. This is not fake news. I'm not making this up. You couldn't even make this up if you tried. And that's the news for today. A Christian preacher was choked out because he tried to enter the autonomous zone, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, CHAZ, in Seattle. The mayor of Seattle, Mayor Durkin, Mayor Jenny Durkin, wants to say what's going on in Seattle is peaceful. She even called it a block party. But I think any rational and sane person with a half a brain can see what's going on in Seattle and what's going on in CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, is anything but peaceful. When you have Christian preachers being choked out cold to unconsciousness, and you have other people who are entering the autonomous zone because they want to be a part of it or whatever they want to do there and are being choked out and deported, that sounds a whole lot worse to me than anything the American government has ever done to an illegal immigrant. Detainment and deportation is at least something that follows a set of criminal conduct. When somebody enters your autonomous zone and you choke them out because you disagree with them, because they're using their First Amendment right to speak, or in the case of the illegal immigrant who was just there and not allowed to be there for whatever reason they decided, that is an extreme violation of human rights, let it be America or a third world country. What's going on in Seattle, what's going on in CHAZ is anything but peaceful. Mayor Jenny Durkin, it is not a block party. And no matter what the ABC channels like CNN, MSNBC, and other fake news mainstream media try to tell you, what is going on in CHAZ is dangerous, violent, and not safe. It is a violation of human rights. As the Seattle police chief put it, they are receiving reports of rape, extortion, and other serious crimes that they cannot get to because the people running CHAZ are so violent, are so angry, and are so vicious they will not allow the police to enter. Don't let the media convince you this is anything but. The Christian preacher who entered today was choked out cold, and that's the news for today. That's the breaking news segment. What you have going on in CHAZ is a direct reflection of what happens when anarchy rules and lawlessness ensues. The police in the East Precinct of Seattle Police Department who fled are directly responsible for what is going on, for all the trauma that is occurring to people in the autonomous zones. Because often we look at these people like they are the aggressors, and the fact of the matter is they are the aggressors. We have seen leaders like CHAZ come to light who are now viciously attacking people for no reason. He's trying to extort money from people. He's trying to capitalize off of this situation. But despite the aggressors, there are always victims in situations like these. And that's something I think a lot of people are not taking into account. People who are foolish, middle-class college kids, or other people who are getting wrapped up in all of this, either willingly or unwillingly. They may or may be naive and they don't know what's going on and they're becoming victims. They're being raped. They're being extorted. They're being criminalized and they're being victimed because the things that are happening to them in CHAZ are going to come to light soon enough. The people who are in CHAZ, the people who are engaging in these armed guard facilities and preventing police from doing their duties to protect citizens. We are going to see a lot of this come to light in a couple months from now when we find out what really went on in CHAZ. The media wants to paint it like it's a block party. But when you have thousands of people involved in a situation like this, where criminals who are freshly released from prison and have nowhere else to go but CHAZ, to go to the block party, there is going to be serious types of crime. There is going to be serious types of human rights violations and atrocities. It's something to watch out for moving forward. And just know, a friendly reminder from your boy at Red Pill. Don't take for granted what's going on in your state outside of Seattle. What's happening in Seattle where they're choking pastors and they're choking what they deem illegal immigrants, probably because he's white, because there's a huge anti-white campaign going on in Seattle right now. It could come to your state. So be prepared for whatever happens and know that the mainstream media is lying to you, right to you. Right to you. That's going to conclude today's video. Thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, Red Pill out. Make sure to subscribe, like, leave me a comment. I'm interested in hearing your opinion on this matter.
You're choking me! I am a free citizen! But also the autonomous zone can choose to reject. I am a free citizen in the autonomous zone! He's not working. Hey, hey, hey.